there we go.
Okay.
We had a brief moment there of anxiety.
I think it's on, guys.
Welcome back to Oyajis with the guy with no voice. I lost my voice, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, actually, I quite like this new. It's to do with your new job, isn't it? That you talk like basically like a senior Italian debt collector.
Okay, good. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Victor Gimmeabreakman.
You sound like
the other two.
Yes.
Somebody's thing is on. Oh,
somebody's thing is on.
Somebody. That's not me, Hiko.
What?
Oh.
Okay. Do you have your volume on? Okay, good. Okay. Maybe
Yep.
just an echo. Cool. Hey guys, it's Victor Gimmeabreakman with Hikosaemon, the other two in Oyajis.
Hey.
We are back from about a 2-month, 3-month hiatus.
Yes. Victor was buying a dog. There was a flock of seagulls, and he became Marlon Brando, as you can hear.
Yes, as you can tell, I lost my voice. I am actually feeling very healthy, but for some reason I have no voice. Too much karaoke. But since then, the Hanami came and went. Actually, Hiko was sick for the Hanami, so he could have popped in for
sick for that. This whole thing could be my fault. Big shout out once again to Zach and to Sophie, who did an excellent job with running the Hanami. Came off really well, especially, I mean, in the rain, the crappy weather and everything. I thought they did a really good job.
It looked bloody over there.
What's that?
It looked freezing over there.
It was.
It wasn't so bad.
I mean, Hanami usually is. Honestly, like 90% of Hanamis are just total shit. But people forget that, and they do it again every year.
I had a great time.
Yeah, it was very good.
Okay, we got a lot of people come back to see us. Thank you for not forgetting us.
And so, who is this naked person in the corner here?
See, we've got a naked person.
I've seen him somewhere before.
We've tried to get naked people on our show before, and we always fail. But today, we're coming back strong with David, from better known on YouTube as Mr. JONESU. Right.
Or Onigiri Man.
Or Onigiri Man.
Yeah.
I think you play a couple different personas, don't you?
There was a Daikon Man and there was
Daikon
Man. Well, Onigiri Man's usually the one that sticks in people's minds.
Yeah.
Like a bad dream.
Or a really good dream. It depends. Yeah, I've spoken to some people who prefer it more than others.
I've always wanted to make love with a living onigiri.
No, see, that's awkward. I mean, it's funny. You don't have a voice and you use it on a phrase like that.
The voice is too sexy. Please read that in a more masculine. Well, but I
always wanted to make love to an onigiri. I mean,
I'm not making this voice. This is. I got to do this volume, or I mean, this tone, or nothing comes out at all. But
okay, I'm going to call you the Wolfman now.
Anyway, so David is part of a 3-man documentary team. Yes. And the other two guys, one of them is named Lachlan. Is that Lock? How do you say his name? Lucky?
Yeah.
Lucky
and Lewis.
Lucky Lewis and David.
Lucky. So he was like named after the family dog.
It's a very strange spelling.
Lachlan.
It's Scottish. It's a Scottish.
Lachlan. I think he said Lucky. I'm thinking what parents would call their kid Lucky.
No, his name's Lachlan. It goes by Lock or Lucky.
Like Lucky, not Lucky.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, I got confused.
Take us back to the origins of this. How did you come up with this idea?
What are we talking about? This idea?
This documentary called Big in Japan.
Yes.
Right.
So these guys are making a documentary called Big in Japan, but it started before.
Put in detail.
Yeah. So go back in time and give us a story. How did this happen?
So we first came to Japan about it would be like 4 years ago now, but we first started really working on this documentary about 3 years ago. I made my YouTube debut, I suppose, a couple of would have been mid 2014, and during that time we were exploring the idea of celebrity and fame. So Big in Japan is a documentary about the nature of fame through the journeys of foreign celebrities in Japan, and also my own attempts to try to get famous. Yeah, which is basically a way of understanding fame. So
what are you trying to understand about fame?
Well, having grown up in the last, having grown up in the early noughties, I suppose, like peak reality TV period, and also sort of with the explosion of YouTube and social media, we sort of saw that fame is changing a lot, and there's this new type of celebrity that is accessible celebrity, which is basically ordinary people getting famous, and we thought that's pretty interesting. And I wonder what that type of fame is all about. Like, we often see, I guess the culture communicates to us that anyone can get famous, but it doesn't really tell us what that's like. So our documentary idea was to look at fame from, I guess, like, investigate fame overall. And
I just realized something. So when you say that word in a very pronounced way and you leave a pause, fame.
Yeah.
The lyrics, they start running, you know. I want to live forever, which shows my age as well.
Hey, I like that song.
Yes, it's a great song. I want to, what is it? Fly through the sky
I
like a
want to
flame.
live forever. I want to learn how to fly. Fame.
Yeah, that's his voice isn't quite the right form for it. But so obviously you're doing this partly as a kind of experiment yourself to become famous. But did you actually? So I assume you also got to know some famous people or something, or what was the?
Well, we were meeting people at different stages of a fame journey.
Yes.
So part of this exploration into accessible celebrity brought us to Japan.
Yes.
Which where ordinary people happen to have been getting famous for years. So there's a whole big in Japan concept. And we wanted to meet people at different stages of the journey. So we met another Australian called Rick Ladybeard McGarry. I think a lot of people would be familiar with Ladybeard. And
met him, good dude.
Yeah, and so we filmed him, and we hung out with him for like a good year or so, and he just exploded while we followed him. And his whole thing is like, he's actually a self-made sort of star. So he did pair up with a Japanese manager, but like, he has always wanted that fame and has actually sort of curated it himself. And then there was like someone who's really famous already, who Time magazine named once as the most famous foreigner in history, who's Bob Sapp. So he's subjects, and we followed him in our documentary. And then the other subject is a girl called Kelsey Panagoni, an aspiring idol. So we followed these stories, and each of them had a sort of different function in terms of exploring the wider idea of fame. They're all at different stages of the fame journey. And my story, my sort of attempts to get fame, is intersecting these stories as well. Yeah. So it's kind of like a Louis Theroux type approach, like it's immersive, but it's also intersecting all these stories. Yeah.
So there's an assumption I had when I noticed people on YouTube start to get famous. There was like a graph line that you could draw of not so famous to very famous, where everyone just assumes that you just become kind of more of a dickhead as you become more famous. Was that valid? Is that theory that bitter, unsuccessful people have, is that validated by your documentary? Because if it is, everyone is going to want to watch it.
I don't know. Like, every character in our documentary is really nice. You know?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, it showed us something about fame that, like, it's what wasn't ordinary about these people was just how much they sort of, I guess, like, needed the fame, I suppose. And I guess it's like, in a way, it completes them, I suppose, like that fame. And for Bob, they're all different motivations. So Bob, it's more sort of like money, I suppose.
Yeah.
Ladybeard, it's I don't want to reveal too much about the documentary.
Sure. Well, as much as you're comfortable, but we will extract every drop that you will give.
Ladybeard, his motivations for fame go much deeper than you'd expect.
Yeah.
They're really sort of intrinsic to his character, like to his acceptance.
Yeah.
And how the world accepts him. And then, I guess Kelsey's angle is more, she's a performer and she wants to reach the highest level as a performer.
Yeah.
So,
nice armpit shot just now. So, how about the other way around? So you're talking about so you're very focused on the people becoming famous. Do you focus at all on the audience and the sort of the people supporting the people who make these people famous, who sort of become fans of the fans of these people?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I do. And there's some again, I don't want to reveal too much about the documentary, but there were some interesting observations. So there's, I guess there's this intimacy angle, which is quite interesting. The idea of the star and like basically like forming more of a human connection with an audience. That's like more a part of fame nowadays than it used to be. I think. Whereas, because before it was just like analog, like it's just like TV. No connection. There's no two-way thing. Now, people get famous through interacting on the internet, basically, and
also from various head stuff and props. Props are also very important for becoming famous nowadays.
that's the other aspect too. Is like, if your audience asks you to do something, you'll do it.
Yeah, we're just social prostitutes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the other angle. It's like the bar is just, there's no bar anymore. It's just anything goes in this new fame ecosystem. So it's like, how does that feel? I was curious about that because I'm actually, even though I'm dressed as a semi-naked onigiri, this was terrifying the first time I put this thing on. And every time I do this in public, I'm scared shitless. So I wanted to know what that felt like, and I also wanted to see if there are any any good things about that, or like whether it would change the way I feel about things generally.
And I'm not judging at all, but I mean, there's something slightly kinky about the way that you put that, but yes, I'm glad that you're always willing to challenge your limits.
Yeah.
So just so everyone can understand,
the Godfather has a statement.
I want to make sure I'm going to make sure this is correct. Your goal is to make the documentary at first. That's your main goal, and to help you make a better documentary, you agreed to play the onigiri character.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. It wasn't the other way around. Just so people understand that this guy is not really wasn't really initially trying to become famous, and then made.
I was trying to become famous for the purpose of exploring fame.
Yeah.
And I was going hard. I was doing whatever it takes.
Yeah, I can see that. So, like, where is the documentary at in terms of? I mean, I know you're doing this crowdfunding thing. Is that for editing? Is that for publishing? Is it for actually? Is there still stuff to be shot? Is there like what is the stage, and how will people's contributions actually be helping?
So the situation is, this documentary is ready to go, pretty much. We've got a cut ready. The only issue is every time there's footage of me or a character like Ladybeard or Bob Sapp appearing on television, we actually have to pay for that footage. We don't own that footage. We have to pay TV stations for it. And it costs a fortune. There used to be big production companies coming and asking to buy their footage. Just to give you an example, like a 30-second clip, like it usually goes for like, I would say $50 to $80 per second. But then on top of that, there's also research fees, which go like $1,000 to $3,000. And then there's also like delivery fees, which is like $1,000. So it quickly tallies up. And then there's music, and we're making a feature documentary here. Music is a huge part of what we do, and like it really defines the documentary in parts. That's royalties cost a lot of money. So basically the things that are stopping us from releasing this documentary right now are expenses. We've done this we've self-funded this documentary the whole way for 3 years. We've been working other jobs to pay for it essentially.
Yeah.
But now it's just we can't afford to finish it unless we.
Were you aware of these throughout, or is this something? Because I actually know cases of people who have made like films, who have made done similar projects to this with similar investments of time, and done everything to get it done, and then they realize sort of at the last step, oh shit, the music that we have in the background, I've got to pay this much, and it's actually like delayed the completion for like a year sometimes, or it's been a major thing. And this is good for people watching as well who are interested in just understanding how this stuff gets made. Is that how it was for you, or did you have some awareness of it?
This is your third movie, right?
Yeah, this is our second one, right? So we did a TV documentary before we came to Japan, but we weren't so much. We were paired with another production company, so we didn't face too much of that world, but we were aware of it, and we've had a budget for this stuff. Like we've written our budget for this music, the music and the archive for about 6 months or to a year. We've researched it. We were hoping we could get some funding. It didn't come through. So now it's crowdfunding, and we're hoping to get some funds for the marketing of it as well. But yeah, I would recommend to anyone out there that's making a film to constantly research, because otherwise at the end of it, it will come as this massive hurdle, and it can really be prohibitive as well. It can stop you from making it. So,
Well, I mean, given that you're talking about fame in the new age, I think it's almost sort of appropriate that you do it's going to have a bit of crowdfunding, because that is how a lot of these things sort of go at some point as well. It feels right.
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of Hollywood people are actually going that way now. They're funding their own movies.
Yeah, it's definitely a time of opportunity, I think. Like, it's weird because a lot of the like typical ways you get funding for making a documentary, they usually rely on like, I guess, the track record of the team, and since we've never made a feature documentary before, this is our first one. It's kind of like, how do you win? Like, you can't.
Well, but that's but what you're talking about, that is quintessential old media. That's what your whole movie subject is about, overcoming in a way. So it's kind of nice. I mean, it's horrible, but it's also nice that you're also yourselves going through the process of overcoming that in the same way, I guess, that your subjects are, in this production oriented way. And you know what I mean?
Right. That's an interesting observation. Yeah.
And this is actually another thing for me. So there's, I've got a friend who we've featured before, Hen Nagaijin, my friend Ace from high school, and he is in documentary production. Works on Discovery Channel, Nat Geo, and all this sort of stuff. And he got so frustrated. He had funded TV series and documentaries and stuff like that, but he himself had some frustrations with the creative process in the commercial production setting, that the projects that he wanted were not the ones that were necessarily the ones that got pushed ahead. And and he was like one of the most excited people I've dealt with when he got a friend and started making his own stuff, and these were the reject projects, which he knew were the better ones, and he's put them up on YouTube. And they're just fantastic. And it's kind of funny. I mean, the thing is, you get these things out, you do them right, and you get them out there. I think it actually shows how hopefully we'll get to make that model irrelevant and allow people like you to actually get judged on the merits.
Well, it's quite ironic actually. Like, I think once you an interesting model that's emerging is people releasing like a short version of what they want to do on YouTube or on the internet.
Deadpool. That's how Deadpool was made.
Yeah, and then road testing it, proving it's a success with the audience, and then bringing that back, bringing the stats back to the funding agency and the broadcaster or whatever, and showing that here's our audience. We've got people that like it, and then they're getting the funding after that.
You know,
It's a cool-
and that's the thing. That's actually the advantage that we have in this day and age that those guys don't. Those guys only know a business model where the results are totally speculative, so they have to pre-sell everything, and it makes them completely risk averse. Whereas internet age, we have data, you know, and the advertisers are waking up to it faster than the production companies are. You know, it's like your idea that you can't get funding if you don't have an experienced, you know, 50-year-old crew or something. You know, if you can go get the data, honestly, if you've got guys who have never put a video on the web, you know, the advertisers could give two shits if you've got something that's got people who want to watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's kind of inspiring to see a project like yours. And you guys are pros, right? I mean, you've done a documentary before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like we're still learning heaps, but I'm pretty proud of what we've got here of Big in
It's
Japan.
beautiful. The quality is it looks like it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to repeat this to everyone because I know the answer, but I just want everyone to know that unless they get to $25,000 in 10 more days, right?
It's 12 days.
12 days.
12
Okay,
days.
they've got 15,000 now. They need another 10,000, and they can release the video, the
Yeah.
documentary. Okay. If they a question from the audience is, what happens if you don't make the 25,000? Will it never be released? What happens? What's your plan B?
If we don't get the 25,000, then we don't get any of the pledges. We don't get any of the pledges that come through, and then I guess the plan B would be to go to a funding agency again to try to get those funds. I think we're just going to try. We don't really want to think of that possibility. Like we're going to try our asses off to get that final 9,000, given that we've already got the 15,000. And just to make it clear as well, that 25,000, none of it is going to us. It's just going to stuff that we need to buy to physically complete the film. And even after that 25,000, there's like 25,000 more that we would like to spend on marketing, and that's not even going to us either. But that's just to make sure that Big in Japan gets seen.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the more money you can put into marketing, the much larger audience you can reach. So, but yeah, bottom line is, if we don't get the 25,000 in 12 days, then the film pretty much won't be made until we find those funds in another way. And I don't know, I can't be certain about finding those funds.
I'm gonna pledge. I don't, you know, my wife's out of town. Well, she's at her parents' house right now, so I'm gonna pledge $50.
That's perfect.
Right now, okay, that's what I can afford without getting in trouble. So
Thank you. Thank you so much,
I'm
Victor.
gonna pledge $50. I'm doing it right now, just to show you guys I put my money where my mouth is.
So Victor, the link is the first link under the video, right? This Pausible.com.
The first link. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit this. While I am pledging, by the way, I still want to hear more a bit about the premise and sort of what you learned again, without giving away too many spoilers. But I mean, it's a fascinating subject. Here's a question for you. You still took famous as being famous in terms of sort of old media famous. These are people who are on television or people who are sort of in traditional music, you know, who have become commercially successful, but still maybe in the genres of media, which in some ways us crazy internet people would argue are becoming irrelevant, given the YouTube sort of, I mean, YouTube fame is a whole sort of parallel universe. Now, what's your take on the relationship between the universe that Lady Beard is getting famous in and the world that we are talking on right now?
Yeah, well, do you know that Lady Beard is pretty much of that same route?
I don't know what are his origins. Why was he vlogging?
Twitter. Like, yeah, Lady Beard got big on Twitter, and he nailed Twitter. Like, what he did was he basically just took lots of cute, like, cross-dressing schoolgirl photos. His Lady Beard's this guy that's like an Australian 30-year-old with a beard, and he's got like his stick is like he's like this heavy metal singer, but also like this really cute schoolgirl. But he, like, the photos just went ballistic with a Japanese audience because it really tapped into that kawaii type culture. I don't know, like if he goes to Harajuku,
Hmm.
people adore him. He can't even walk halfway down the street,
Yeah.
and that's all been grassroots. Like he exploded on Twitter, and then that expanded into other channels. It became television. It was only very later, like actually at the very end of time filming him, that he actually cracks TV. But it all started on Twitter. And with Bob Sapp, I guess we were exploring more of a traditional angle, and with him it was more like what is he's been famous for a while, so what are the overall effects of this fame on him? So that was more like it's got the fame in common, like the condition of fame. I'm just that's it's not YouTube, but it's still that effect would be common to a internet celebrity, I think.
Yeah. So by the way, I'm just looking at the page now, and I see that there is a Big in Japan T-shirt, and like I have to have that, so I'm pledging $65 and getting the T-shirt.
Cool. My girlfriend designed that. She's a really good designer.
Is there a T-shirt? I just saw the poster. I want the poster.
No, dude, I want the shirt.
Oh. Can I put that back up?
Yeah, I might speak to the reward that Victor got too. Erwin Wong is an amazing photographer, Tokyo-based, and he does documentary photography. He shot me as Onigiri Man in Shibuya, but he's also got this like really good range of photography on his website. And for our crowdfunding campaign, he's allowed us to list his gaijin collection of photos, as they can go out to anyone as a $50 reward. And some of them are just out of this world. Like it's just really interesting. If you go on his website, I can type it into the group. Is there a place I can type this?
In the comments, do you have the comments page? If you type that, Victor can probably copy it and make sure.
There's not a comment page on this thing, is there? I don't know why.
Like a chat.
There's a chat window.
Chat window.
Top left on the screen. On the top left, there's a blue chat window.
Yeah.
Click that.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Well, I'll do that. And I'll put through the link. But yeah, there's some really cool rewards. So at the 25 is like I don't expect most people to be able to pitch $50. That's like super generous, Victor. I appreciate that.
Oh, he's pitching 65. He just showed me up, bastard.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I just pledged, by the way. That's true. So I'm claiming that shit.
I just pledged too.
Thank you, Hiko. Yeah, you guys are super generous. But 25 is also amazing. Like that allows you to see the film. Like even $10 is just amazing to us because it goes towards us finishing it.
So some people here, this is, I must admit, is coming to my head as well. I mean, if this is the amazing success, which I'm sure it's going to be, some people here are talking about any ideas of doing a sequel, because while the three, I think you got three really good subjects. There's so much more you could go into. Have you considered that?
Yeah, you know what I've thought about before. This isn't just isolated to Japan.
Yeah.
What about Big in China or something like that? That would be kind of interesting.
That would be interesting.
Actually, you know what would be funny? I mean, like, so China, of course, is huge and would be fascinating because it's huge, but not many people understand it that well. Yeah, but at the same time,
it's still a mystery.
But at the same time, you do sometimes hear about like this person who is a huge internet celebrity in Kazakhstan or Mongolia or something like that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you know there are these these people get mentioned or featured on things.
Yeah.
I must admit that in itself, like taking some microcosm that most of your audience will not know about and introducing the characters in that world, who is famous in that world, and some people, that might be a cool way to do it. I don't know.
I think that's really cool. That's quite interesting. Yeah, because it's almost like a travel documentary in a way, because you're exploring that.
Well, I think that's the appeal, isn't it? You're taking some exotic location, a whole world, a whole culture that people don't know. You kind of have that with China as well, which I think China is an awesome idea. But the thing about China is people who are big in China, I mean, probably aren't going to be as accessible as someone who's big in Turkmenistan.
That's true.
So
yeah. It's a huge in China, right? It just blows my mind how big that place is. Like, if someone's famous in China, they're like they've probably got like 200 million fans or something. Like,
well, I mean, so yes, I mean I've been there a couple of times now, and it does
But
just
they don't
blow
have
my
YouTube
mind.
in China, right? I mean,
No, they don't have anything Google there. No Facebook, no Twitter, no Google. So everything's on indigenous media. It's obviously not very English enabled. But the thing is, like, so I've been the most in China I've been to is like Dalian, which is like the number 25th biggest city in China. So it's kind of a second tier city in China, but it's got like 7 million people or something.
wow.
It's like twice as big as Yokohama, which is the second biggest city in Japan, and it's like number 25 in China, and it's considered a backward. Although it's actually quite nice.
what's like if I think about the number 25 population town in Australia, it's something like, I don't know, it's like Ballarat or something, which is like,
Yeah, it's like 100,000 people or something, probably.
Yeah.
Tops.
so funny.
So
Yeah.
China is just mine, but in a way, because when you go in there, you know, the accessibility, the scale, and everything is a bit too much. Whereas it might be really fun to take Ecuador, or you know, but I actually think Asia is fascinating for that. Actually, you know, it is big.
Definitely. But yeah, I'd love if it succeeds, like, and I certainly hope it will. I would love to do a sequel. We've got another documentary on the cards at the moment as well, but we're working on. But
yeah,
I got a few questions for you.
Sure.
One of the viewers wants to know why you were using Pausible. I've never heard of Pausible. What is Pausible? Why did you use Kickstarter or GoFundMe or Indigo?
It's a good question. It's the best thing about Pausible for me is it's Melbourne, which means
local company.
local. Which means I can go in there, I can chat to them, get advice from them about how it's going, and they can also put some of their resources into the publicity and that kind of thing. So we can work on the publicity together. So yeah, it's just like, because it's a bit easier that I can speak to human beings on the other end, and it's just a phone call away to see how the campaign's going and get advice. Like, it's just nice that way. And also, there's a fair bit of respect for Pausible over here in Australia.
We've never heard of it. Have you heard of it, Hiko?
No. Well, so obviously, I mean, it's a pretty solid site. I mean, I just did the experience just now, and it's nicely presented. It works
very
well.
fast. Yeah.
Can I say something about Pausible, actually?
Because
one thing that's really cool about Pausible is it's got this new function called Screen Connect, which basically means you can, once you finish your project, if it's a screen project, if it's like a documentary or a film or whatever, once it's done, you can actually use that as a platform as well.
Oh,
So,
you can show the movie right there.
Yeah.
nice.
So it's like everyone that like might have put into your campaign will be notified when the movie is ready, or you can actually sell your movie on there as well. It's cool. Yeah.
Okay, another question is about Netflix. Do you have any? Have you guys tried hitting up Netflix to sell the movie?
So yeah, I've been thinking about that. Yeah. From what I've heard I've got like a couple of mentors in the documentary world who managed to sell their documentaries to Netflix. Basically, they want to see a finished product. So that will come, but like after we've sort of released it.
So you can't actually just send them a copy that's not only for their eyes, and then
You could offer them an exclusive or something. I mean, you know, they seem to make a big deal out of that.
Yeah, the Netflix exclusive, that would be also limiting your revenue options as well, because
That's true.
Yeah, if you're just selling it to Netflix, and they could pick any price. But I would love to get onto Netflix. The other thing I heard about Netflix is that you have to go through an agency, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah.
But what else? I mean, there's YouTube Red, and there's Amazon as well. They're getting into that. Amazon seems to be throwing. You know anything about those?
YouTube just bought a cat documentary from like Turkey or something like 2 days ago.
That was so disappointing.
I didn't see it. Did you see it?
See, Victor, you left that long pause after cat, and I was just like, oh my God, that's awesome. YouTube bought a cat. Are they just going to like film it or something? It just became so disappointing.
That would have been a good idea too. That's a good idea.
No, I think I should. Sorry, a cat documentary. They bought a cat documentary.
It was just 2 days ago. A wild stray cats in Turkey or something like that. I don't know.
YouTube Red hasn't really. I mean, in America it's taken off, but in Australia it's not really.
They offer it in Australia?
I think that they just offered it, right?
Okay, they don't offer it here. So this is another problem I have with that. I mean, I don't get the whole thing about YouTube is that it's a global platform, but why do they only make Red in America? But I assume it's coming out in other countries. I assume it's coming here.
Yeah, it's really hard to access them as well, and to actually to pitch the documentary. I'm finding it's kind of hard to get in touch, unless you're already a connected YouTube star.
So what are the channels that you're thinking of ideally for distribution?
Sure. So I can't say exactly what we're going to do yet, but
just general.
What we want to do first is release festivals. So we're thinking of one festival in Australia, 2 internationally. Then we want to do a grassroots cinema run with, ideally with Ladybeard. We want to get Ladybeard over to Australia and do like a tour around Australia. And then we want to do the same thing in Japan. That would be amazing to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we want that to be. We're using this amazing platform called FanForce, which is like fan-led cinemas. So basically, we can get enough fans in the cinemas, that screening will go ahead. So that would be like a grassroots type cinema tour. And then after that, we would like to do a general cinema release. So just a sort of traditional sort of cinema license, and then release video on demand. So then we'd make it available on basically on Vimeo, iTunes, VHX, and also on Screen Connect with Pausible. And also at that point, we'll also be looking to resell it to broadcasters and Netflix and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So like 3 stages. There's like cinema, and then there's festivals, and there's cinema, and then there's video on demand. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds tough.
Oh, I'm still working it out. Like, we've never done this before, so it's very confusing. But
do you guys have day jobs?
Sorry.
Do you guys have day jobs?
Yeah. So Lockie and Lewis are teachers. They teach English.
Oh, okay. So you came to Japan. You all did that for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
We spend like ridiculous amount of hours like doing this stuff. This is our main job, but we don't get money for it.
Yeah.
I work in a bar in town in Melbourne. That's what I do, maybe 20 hours a week, and then I just live really frugally and spend all my time just trying to make the documentary. But I'm starting to do a few odd jobs in TV. I'm hoping I can maybe get a part-time job in TV, my next gig. But
have you ever considered trying to make a living off YouTube?
It's really tough.
I feel like it's hard. Yeah. I feel like I have to release videos all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm getting into the craft of like, I really love documentaries. Like I love the writing, and my job is basically as the producer and the presenter, just like the nuts and bolts of the creative side of it. So also not just the writing and stuff like that, but also the business and stuff like that. I really like that, and I just want to work on more projects like this. So that's what I'd love to do. But I have a lot of respect for YouTube. I reckon there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
And even maybe a hybrid, like if you could somehow self-release and or like always have an audience that will appreciate your documentaries. I think that would be like the ideal formula. But,
so I think you shouldn't underestimate it as a marketing channel for even if you're doing more sort of traditional media sort of stuff. I mean, that's the whole idea, is you can have an audience of loyal people who will watch your stuff and they'll want the information of where it is.
Oh yeah, I'm not traditional at all by any point.
I never assumed that at all. No.
Yeah. But we, I guess we are firm believers in the grassroots sort of marketing of films. I think there's heaps of opportunity there.
Yeah.
I reckon YouTube is a good device to sort of like keep an audience engaged in your content. But I guess from my perspective, I would love to make more and more longer length documentaries.
Yeah. So okay, I have a question coming back to the content of the documentary, and I realize that you can't give spoilers, but I would like to just ask you, how can I become famous? Just a simple answer.
So many ways. But I think actually it's there are a lot of obvious ways, which are just doing very crude attention-seeking things. There's yeah. But I think the key, from what I found watching other people and those character stories, is consistency, and because there's so many people out there, so much content that people are just going to move on to the next wild thing. There's so many people getting their 15 minutes of fame, but to be famous in the long run, I think it requires something like
real talent.
Well, maybe not. Maybe just
I don't think talent's enough. I think graft. I think what you're saying, the consistency thing, is I think what a lot of people actually miss when they have their dreams of becoming famous. They don't realize. Yeah,
well, it's like a lot of vloggers. Like, I think a lot of people. The reason why vloggers are popular, like a lot of vloggers are popular, because the audience knows what they're getting out of them. Like, they're seeing this person on a daily basis, and they feel like they're relating to them. Like, I feel like that's a really interesting example of how fame is changing.
But Bob Sapp and Lady Beard. Okay, so I actually don't know the story, and this is why I really want to see your documentary. I want to learn the story of how Lady Beard built up his Twitter fame into mainline, mainstream sort of media fame. But Bob Sapp is kind of a well-known case here in Japan. He was the sports superstar, and then he had the injury, and then he came into talent, and he just seemed to get into like everything. But that seemed to me to be a really, so I don't know, from the outside, he just seems to be an incredibly energetic, motivated. I mean, just the how across everything he was. But in terms of like, what do you think are the elements that you saw in common of how people become famous?
Right. Yeah. Well, Bob Sapp is. Well, his nickname's the Beast. He's 6'5" and he's 160 kilos. The guy's huge.
Unnatural.
Even if you just look at his picture, once you meet him in real life, you realize he's just even more impressive than that. He's just enormous.
Yeah.
But he's so self-aware. Like, he knows what he is, and he just uses it as a tool. Like, he's very, very good at being the Beast. So he's got this character that's very cute on the one hand, and also like scary on the other.
And that's an interesting point. You know what that reminds me of? So to some extent, Bob Sapp, I think of Bobby Olagon. You know him? So he's a guy who is actually known, and Japanese actually, now everyone in Japan pretty much knows and respects him as actually being an extremely intelligent person. But he got famous by playing an extremely stupid and arguably borderline offensive West African character. He sort of played to the stereotypes, but everyone sort of figured out he was doing sort of so much stuff, and he was actually being so savvy about how he was going about it. Everyone started to really just click at the same time. Wait a minute, this guy's actually very smart. But there is also this thing about, it's one thing to be self-aware and to know exactly and to deliberately do it, but what people always talk about how people sort of sell out to become famous, or they throw away everything. They put on onigiri on their head, or they dress like a woman with a beard, or they act crazy all the time and eat raw meat on TV. Are there limits to like acting crazy to get famous? What's the is it necessary? Is it something? I guess it's a talent to appear not to be self-aware while being self-aware. But how do you think this comes about?
I think it comes from the individual,
Yeah.
and whether what they want out of this attention. I suppose, like whether it's like something really inherent, like they want acceptance, then sure, that's the only way they can get that acceptance. That's acceptable. That's okay. I guess some things are, it's like borderline, like I don't know, we should be doing that on TV, like but what we found was like there's always a unique set of circumstances and motivations for people as to why they've ended up on this path. And it comes down to like, how much do you want the end goal of fame, and how much do you what do you want out of that? Like it's hard to explain. I guess it's
sorry, well, it's a very, I admit it's a tough question, but this is what I hope we're going to learn a little bit when we watch these characters about what sort of motivates them and brought them to where they are.
In a different way, like I came into this as a really ordinary person, and I was like pushed to my limits quite a lot because I said I would, because I said I'd do anything. And I think it comes through in my experience that I can see some perks, and I can also see some costs related to it as well. And but then I think some other people who really want to become famous are more tunnel visioned in that they kind of need the fame, like whereas
the costs seem less.
I really don't understand that.
Yeah, some people might think they want the fame, but other people just need it, and it really takes a sort of unique character for them. Like we sort of like the really strong characters of the people in our films, and they're motivated in their backgrounds. You can kind of understand why they're seeking fame. Like, that's what I'd put it down to. Yeah.
We had a question from the people watching. They'd like to know, who is your inspiration?
Well,
that's a documentary filmmaker, or maybe one of the people that you interviewed.
Louis Theroux, hands down. Louis Theroux. Yeah, I love Louis Theroux. Do you know him?
No. How do you say that?
Louis Theroux. He's a British documentarian. He's just got this really he's got a great ability to disarm his like, he's just so funny. He's a nerd, like a bit like me, but like he just goes and immerses.
Write his name in the comments there in the chat.
Yeah, we'll do.
Louis Theroux.
Yeah, he goes and he puts himself in the story and gets great results of it. His latest one's about Scientology, and
I saw that.
Yeah,
I know now. I watched that on an airplane. The one about Scientology, the British guy who was going around interviewing this ex-security guy from Scientology, right? Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's a cool style.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I really like that guy, and he just manages to get, like, everyone trusts him, and I'm not saying I like the balance of comedy and insight. That's what I like about him. But he manages to get these amazing stories out of people.
Yeah,
probably because they trust him. Yeah, but he looks really harmless, but then he sort of like sets things up as well, and just like, oh man. If only they knew what they were getting themselves into. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Check out his stuff. He's hilarious.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to pick up. So Victor, if you've got some more awesome, I'm going to try to pick up some of the questions and comments from them.
One more time, I want to remind everyone that David is he has completed a documentary called Big in Japan. You can see links in the description. They are doing a crowdfunding. They need $25,000. None of the money will go to them. They need the money to pay for, what is that called, artifacts?
archive. So
Archive, sorry.
yeah,
Archives,
yeah.
which are basically the rights to put certain things in the movie that they don't own the copyright to, right? Basically.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So they need $25,000. I did a video a few days ago pushing this. They're up to 15,500 now or 600 now. So if any of you are interested in, please check out the trailer or the commercial on my channel a few days ago. And it's a high quality movie. It just needs a little help from you if you have that ability.
Coming back again, don't need to give spoilers necessarily, but Tai Nakamura is asking, what type of music do you have in the video?
So there's a good blend of a couple of really good Australian local Melbourne bands actually, and then there's a couple of classic Japanese songs in there as well.
Nice.
And then we've got a really talented friend of ours doing a score. It's his first movie score, but he's so good. Like, he's just nailing it. And I'm really happy to be able to give one of my friends who's talented an opportunity. Yeah.
And Dee is asking a question: if this gets funded and everything goes out on the schedule you're planning, when would it come out?
Yeah, so this all depends on kind of like what festivals we get into, but we predict October.
October,
at the very least, for a cinema run, and then we would say if we were to have a cinema run in October, and that's to include Australia and Japan at least. Then we would be looking at releasing video on demand November or December, the end of the year.
Cool.
Yep. So pretty soon. Like we're really close to finishing. We just need these funds to buy the rights. That's it.
Yeah. And how long is the documentary? Like you say, it's almost done now.
Yeah. So it's
The Method asks.
just over an hour and a half. Just over an hour and a half.
Like the old 90-minute. Good formula.
Yeah. It just feels like the right length at that point. Yeah. It was our first cut was like 3 hours, but it takes. That's what happens. Like you just come up, you refine and refine and refine and refine.
See, I would like to see that cut too.
I'll share some extra footage of stuff. I'd like to do that on YouTube actually.
Well, you can add it to the documentary, the DVD, the bonus section, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it would be good to release some of that material onto YouTube.
Claiming the World asks, did you ever approach or consider approaching sponsors, like, for example, I mean, Nikon or DJI or, those sort of guys for...
I am trying to approach sponsors right now, actually. So if you know anyone, let me know.
Claiming the World.
Yeah.
Please introduce.
I can say that we have secured one very exciting sponsor for our documentary, and that is Fly Scoot. Do you know that airline? I
don't know. Scoot, is that like one of those low-cost airlines?
Yeah. They've promised to fly Ladybeard to Australia to play at our premiere.
Oh, great.
Okay, they fly from Narita. There we go.
Yeah, if we reach our 35,000 push goal, which at this point seems like a large stretch, but would be amazing if we got that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we do a tour around Australia and around Japan. I think a big in Japan, like Ladybeard tour, would just be dynamite. I think it would just be incredible.
Yeah.
We could do that. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Okay.
We're going to try to do that, whatever happens, but Fly Scoot will make it happen if we get 35.
Yeah. Okay. And that's actually the first I've heard of this airline, so that's cool as well. Now I've got the page open.
Yeah, that's just news today. I've been working on that for a couple of weeks, but it just came through, so now I can announce it.
Great. Yeah.
I'm gonna put it on the proper on our social media and all that kind of stuff tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. Yeah, it should be fun.
Great.
Yeah.
I really hope you guys make it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I really hope so too.
If you do, I would like to take all the credit for it. As a result of this show.
Yeah, I'll have to give you a credit spot. 2.5.
You don't have to,
Sure.
but we would love that if you did. But
Yeah.
no, but this is what it's all about.
To see 2.5 Oyajis.
It would be nice if you just do a, all of this was thanks to and because of us.
Everything.
Everything. Well, that'd be cool. But I mean, yeah, it was cool to run into you guys in the middle of this getting made and to sort of, follow your progress. But it's always inspiring. I mean, there's so many people, especially who get into YouTube, who I think share the same sort of passion that you have for something that they just need to get out, something that they need to make and they want to get done, and they don't want to do it the old-fashioned way, which is pretty much like designed to be. It's got all these blockers in the way. I love how people like you, and there's a lot of people on YouTube, there's a lot of people watching these sort of videos who want to figure out how to do it in a smart way and, in a modern way. I don't know, I think it'd be a real inspiration if you get this done. So I really hope you succeed.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Apologies again for the voice, but
I think it sounds better than usual, actually.
I had nothing. I couldn't talk so much today, right? I know what you're saying.
You sound like the Godfather of Japan YouTube. It's like you've actually become the character.
Well, Hiko, we should also tell the audience about 2.5 Oyajis. Are we back next week? No, take another break next week.
Well, we have to decide. I think take a break. I can't do this every week. At least not on this time slot. So
we'll get back to you guys. So keep your eyes on our channels and our Twitter.
What we're going to aim for is either we'll figure out the right frequency, whether it's every 2 weeks or monthly. But what we will do is we will be back. It will be on this time slot, and we will have guests on every time that we do it. It will be proper shows. That's what we want to do.
We will try to get more naked guests.
Yes. Yes.
No promises though.
Ain't no guest like a naked guest.
Hey, thank you all for watching. We appreciate that. Please check out the links in the description. Again, this was Dave Jones, aka Mr. Jones on YouTube. And he's with a Big in Japan. It's now called Big in Japan. The channel's name has been changed, right?
Info is all in the links.
All the information in the links. Check it out. All right. We'll be back soon, though.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Stay on. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. Stay there for a second. I'm gonna click us off, but hey, thanks again for watching, everyone. And even if you can't contribute any money, if you can share the video, that would be great. Maybe someone will see it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They'll be inspired.
It's like not everyone can put in money. I understand that. Yeah, and that's fine. Like, being in those situations myself, I am in that situation. But like, if you can share, that's amazing. Yeah, like just sharing this around will be a huge help for us.
Yeah, and all the info is in the links below this video. And the very first link is the link to go have a look at. And there's some pretty good offers there, and you can go and see the pitch. But I'm in there already, and I hope you pull this off.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. All right, good. Best of luck. Talk to you soon. Good night, guys.
Good night. Bye.
Stop broadcasting. Stay there for a second.